Hi everyone, I hope you're doing great. Welcome back to a new video. I am really excited to do this because I am doing the book recommendation tag. I love those kind of things, those little tags. It reminds me a lot of the old YouTube. If I am correct, it was Steph Bohrer's ideas and questions. I probably put her video in the description box so that you can go see it. So I think we have 13 questions, and for once in this channel I am going to be actually able to show you most of the books I'm talking about in physical form. The first question is a book you tell people is your favorite. If it is someone that I have not really talked with, someone new and not very close to me, usually the first book that comes to my mind is Divergent. The first one was one of my favorite books ever for a very, very long time. I absolutely love the concept. The delivery was incredible in the first book. The first movie is also very good. I got really attached to Trish, and obviously this is an iconic book. Everyone heard and mostly read about it. I also think it is a great introduction to dystopian reads because it is easy to get into. I think it's nice for new reader to start with this type of books if they don't want to read romance or if they want to expand their reading habits. I have not read these books in so long. It was published in 2011, which is so long ago, it's crazy. And if we know each other and I like you, I am probably gonna tell you that my favorite book is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. For now, I read most of the Front of Glass books and every single ACOTAR books, and I'm currently reading a Crescent City book. I've had a few 5 stars in the ACOTAR ones. I've had a 5 stars in the Front of Glass. I really like her books. I've talked so much about those books on my channel, but you just need to read them. I am realizing that I don't have a lot of 5 stars purely romance book, but I love a good half fantasy romance. The next question is, what book is your guilty pleasure? It means that the type of book that you absolutely love, but you are kind of like, I'm not gonna tell everybody about this one. I don't even know if a lot of people heard about this one, but this is the French one. I think it is called Love Me Never. Lovely Vicious, Love Me Never. And it's by Sarah Wolf. It is a trilogy, and I've loved those books when I was younger. I remember so well what the storyline is, what was going on in there, because I love those books, and I'm pretty sure that if I was reading them again today, I would actually like them. Those books were kind of a vibe, and to go with it, during the same time period, I was obsessed with the Did I Mention I Love You and Everything. I think there are 4 books, and I think there was a 5th one with the guy's point of view. Once again, this story was not amazing. It is a stepbrother romance, but just the setting in Los Angeles. I remember the second book was amazing. I remember loving those books, even though there are a lot of red flags now that I am thinking about it. But I mean, guilty pleasure is obviously something with red flags in it. And the last book that it's literally a series that I like, even though I know it's bad, it is the Vicious series. I think it's Sinners series by L.G. Chen. I only have Vicious in paperback, and then I read every single other book in the series on my Kindle. I just love them, except the novella about the teacher-student romance. That was not my thing. It's just so bad. It's good, especially Scandalous. It is an age gap romance, and I was living for the tension. He was her boss, and she was actually plotting with her father to bring him down. A book that everyone loves and you didn't. So those are 2 books that I read on my Kindle. It is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I don't know why so many people love that book. I didn't personally get it, and I was very shocked because most of the people that were like, this is amazing, I actually liked most of their book recommendation. But I didn't like the story from beginning till the end. My best friend, actually, Lily, if you're watching this, she read that book because her mother bought it for her and she loved it. And I was literally staring at her. I was like, I didn't like the story, I didn't like the characters. And another book was Every Summer After. I remember the summer, every single person was talking about this book and everyone was saying how great it was. Oh, I never read the book by Christina Lauren that apparently is similar to it. I have not read this one yet. I will, but apparently it's close to this one and I'm scared to read this one because I mostly loved Christina Lauren's book, but I just could not with Every Summer After, and the end, I kind of like it, and the end just completely destroyed everything for me. That did not end up well. Then a book that I read the fastest was the Mindfuck series. I know that it is technically a bunch of books, but there is one big book with all of them in it. Just the storyline about a serial killer having a romance with the FBI profiler who just is searching for her. It was mind-blowing, and I love when you start rooting for the bad guy. That's just, I love that when that just mess up with your emotion, and what happened to her in that book was awful. I've never even imagined that. A book that deserves more hype, definitely Hurtless by Marissa Mayer. I don't know why people don't like that book. I read it 3 years ago now, 4 years ago, something like this. I was just getting my wisdom teeth removed. I just read it so fast and I love the storyline. I love Alice in Wonderland, so this was just an amazing book. I love the fantasy aspect, but it was very soft. It was so interesting and heartbreaking at the end. I know this is going to be controversial, but the Front of Glass series, I think it deserves more hype than it actually has. A lot of people are talking about The Court of Thorns and Roses and every single book, but the Front of Glass series, I feel like most of the people don't go and read those. Maybe because they are older, they might not have the hype anymore, or maybe I'm not on the side of the social media where they talk about this book. But I really liked the Front of Glass series, and I thought I wouldn't because nobody was talking about it. And my last book who deserves more hype is actually Spring Girls by Anna Todd. I've never heard someone talk about this book, but I love it. It is a readaptation of Little Women. Little Women is just one of my favorite books ever also. It was Little Women but in a modern way. I have very good memories of it, even though I have not read it in a while. I don't understand why literally nobody was talking about this book. I love the cover also. I thought that with Little Women, the movie adaptation, people would bring up that Anna Todd did that. A book that you love and that has been adapted. There are a few books in this category. I'm starting with The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I really like this book. I love the series. It is a very good adaptation. I always found weird the fact that there are so many years between the first book and the second one, and that the series is way longer than this. But at the end of this book there is literally a few pages with someone interpreting what was going on at the end of the book, because we were only supposed to be left with this. So seeing the series adaptation and how good the TV show is and really got what Margaret Atwood had created, I just found it so good. Then obviously very famous Divergent and The Hunger Games. I love the first movie for Divergent and the first movie also for Hunger Games, even though the first book in the Hunger Games series is not my favorite. It is actually the third one. Good adaptation, and though I don't know what happened with her and why we never finished it, but it's okay because I hate that book. One of my favorite books ever is actually Pride and Prejudice. This is also the French version. It was one of my first English classics. I loved it. I just went through it so fast. And the movie adaptation with Keira Knightley in it was amazing. It is also one of my favorite movies ever. I would just recommend you read this and watch the movie. In the movie, the way they're talking, the mood and everything is just so similar to what I was visualizing in my head. The book I reread the most was probably after the first one. This is the fifth one. I don't know where my first one is. When I got it, I was one of those girls who was obsessed. Me and my best friend Camille, we just lived through this book. I only got this feeling, the need to reread the book that much, with The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I reread this book so much also. This is a hockey romance. I think it sparked something in me with hockey because I've read so many hockey romance books since then. Those two books hit different and I don't know what was in it to make me feel that way. Obviously now I see a lot of things that are not supposed to be there, especially in this book, the first one. There is a lot of red flags in it. A book I love from a genre I don't typically read. I mostly read romance and fantasy books. I don't go into thriller or mystery and anything very often. However, my mother is obsessed by Mary Higgins Clark. One day I will show you my library and you will see how many books we have from this woman. And two books that I've read from her that actually really stayed in my mind. This is the Cinderella Murder. I think it was one of her recent ones. It was published in 2014. We're gonna say it's recent. It is a murder mystery book and I just love the way she's writing. I want to get back into her writing because there is so much tension. You just feel sick in your stomach. And a one that really stuck out to me. I read this. I was way too young to read it because it actually messed me up. We are talking with a psychologist in it. It's called You Belong to Me in English. This book is amazing. Look at the cover. I think it's so simple but so pretty. I wouldn't know how to tell you what's going on. If you have to read one Mary Higgins book, from what I've read, You Belong to Me is amazing and you should definitely try it. Then we have a book that definitely deserves all the hype it got. I'm not gonna stay long on this, but obviously I'm gonna say the Akata series. It was a 5,000 star for me, so I'm gonna say this one. The Court of Mist and Fury was a top tier. Other than that, I really liked Kingdom of the Wicked. I saw so much hype around this trilogy that I never thought I would like it, and it was so good. The world building was very quick, very fast paced, and you just got hooked into the world and the plot and everything that was going on for Emilia. I just think it is a book to read. I had to bring out the ring light because it was getting way too dark. You can find everything I think about Kingdom of the Wicked in this video where I am reading the first book of very famous fantasy series and the last book that I personally think deserved all the hype. It is Magnolia Parks by Jessica Hastings. I was obsessed with this book, even though it made me go through things that I was not willing to go through. We are sent through a roller coaster and I just know I have to continue reading Dizzy Hates and everything because I will love it, but I don't want to be disappointed after the high I got from Magnolia Parks. A book I would recommend to people when they ask for a recommendation. To start reading, I would obviously recommend romance because I think it is the easiest types of books to get into. Not to read, but to get into because the story usually start off very sweetly. Two books that I absolutely love was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I am personally one of those person who did not mind the cheesiness and who actually really liked it. It is fake dating with a PhD student and one of, I don't think it is her professor, but a professor in the faculty where she's studying. And then things we never got over. We have Grumpy, Sunshine, small town romance. it is just amazing. It is by Cisco, and this woman just has something that she puts in her book that is just a book with my favorite character. I am going to choose A Court of Silver and Flames. I know a lot of people didn't like Nesta. I felt like this book had everyone in it. We already knew everyone. We went through war together. I just love that book so much, and it's so pretty. Like, look at this mask. I just love the cover. The next question is a book you wish you could live in. I would honestly love to see every single court in this world. I don't want to go through war, but I would love to see the world. Another world that I was obsessed with since I was a child. Honestly, Harry Potter. This is very, very old because I had this when I was in middle school. No, I had this before middle school. This is one of the first books I ever read with Narnia. But obviously we all know what is going on with J.K. Rowling. Her world was still something that I was obsessed with as a child, so I wanted to mention it. A book you thought you would hate but ended up loving. One of my recent discoveries was reread. It is a book that I always say I would not read, and I end up loving for another video where I was reading Destiny Sidwell's 5 Stars book. I really thought I would not like because I didn't like Book Lover by Emily Henry, and people were saying that those two books were a top tier book. So I was like, I like People We Met on Vacation, but the rest was just not my thing. And I ended up really liking reread. You never know what you're gonna find out. And then a book that is a French classic is L'Étranger by Camus. I just know that a lot of people never heard of this book, but I studied it. My friends, are you kidding me? She highlighted my book. Kenny, you never told me. I never saw this. Because we had to have 2 versions of it when we were 18. Anyway, I studied it in my French class, and I thought I would hate it because who really likes what you read in French class? I think this book is one of the books that impacted me the most. I would recommend everyone reading it just once and see where it takes you. A book that made me cry. Divergent Free. I cried so much for this book, even though I hate it. The end, I didn't remember it was that big. Yeah, the end got me. And another book was Forbidden by Tabitha Suzuma. It is a very controversial book. That's why I read it. I was once again very young. It was also during the part where I got my wisdom teeth removed. I liked this book because it was very, from what I'm remembering, it was well written. But the storyline, it is a romance between a brother and a sister. Yeah, I am just, yeah. I know that's why it's called like this, but the emotion and what is going on around them was very intense. Once again, the end, I sobbed. But sobbed. I think I never cried this much for a book. Between Marissa Mayer and Forbidden, just those 2 books destroyed me. And I read them back to back. It was very intense, but Forbidden, I don't want to recommend this book, but it was an interesting read. A book you wish you could read for the first time would be The First Divergent, because it was hitting, and I would love to experience this again. Hunger Games 3, the 3rd book, this one, because it just was amazing, and I remember the feeling I had while reading this book, and it was incredible. I would really, if you have not read this book, because you are like, I saw the movie, I don't need to read the book, read the freaking book. This book, she put crack in it, and I was living for it. You feel so much more than in the movie, even though the movie is very well done. It will never surpass what is going on in this book. So I think we're done with the video. It was the last question. If you like the video, please put a thumbs up and subscribe. That would help me so much. You can also go watch my other videos. I had so much fun doing this, and I hope that we are enjoying an era where tags and videos like this just come back. I hope you had a great time, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!